Hey everyone, this is Anna Gressel, and you're listening to the AI Drop, your briefing on how AI is reshaping the future of business law and industry. We bring you fresh drops each week so you never miss a beat. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome, everyone. I'm very excited to be joined today by two of the leaders of Kohler, which has a core mission of helping people live gracious, healthy, and sustainable lives. And as many people on the line know, Kohler is a leader in the bathroom, kitchen, and hospitality spaces. It's a company where design, craft, and human involvement are the product. And in this context, I'd love to explore how this 150-year-old design-defined brand leverages AI to enhance and add value to its customer-centric mission. And today, we're really fortunate to have two guests joining us. We have Eric Tabor, who's Kohler's Chief Digital Officer, who owns the digital and AI roadmap for the company, and Megan Belcher, who serves as the company's Chief Legal Officer and Corporate Secretary. I love having both of their voices in the room because the question I keep coming back to on AI and digital transformation is strategy for what purpose and governance towards what end. And you really can't separate them. And our best AI work happens in teams for that reason. So we have a team here who's really on the leading edge of this. Eric and Meg, welcome to the AI Drop. Eric, maybe we can kick it off with you. Chief Digital Officer at a company like Kohler. What does that job actually mean day to day? And what is it that you are thinking about that is top of mind when you're thinking about your AI strategy for the company?
Yeah, simply put, all things technology roll up to my department. So we oversee anything a traditional CIO would, but also the technologies that touch our consumers and our customers as well. To answer your question, what do I think about when it comes to AI? It's really enabling our associates to delight the customers, whether that's in some sort of traditional function like customer service or our product design teams and how they can use AI to make the next most beautiful sink or toilet or faucet and to do it in a way that can get to market ahead of our competitors.
And Eric, just to pull on that thread a little bit, I mean, Kohler not only puts the famous sinks and toilets and showers in all of the hotel bathrooms that I love going into and marveling at, but that's quite a complex process to not only manufacture those, but move them globally. You guys, I think, operate in almost every country. What does that look like from an AI enablement perspective? How much of what you're doing is design oriented versus focused on the entire corporation and enabling digital transformation in finance, supply chain, operations, et cetera?
Yeah, it's a great question. Our AI strategy began with helping our associates and particularly our knowledge workers. So not specific to just one area, but every single function in the company. If you think about Kohler as not just a company that makes the world's most beautiful kitchen and bath products or has the most incredible hospitality spaces, we're also just a very large corporation with an IT department, a legal department, a finance department, a human resources department, manufacturing. And so our goal was to teach every single associate how to use AI to become more profitable, more efficient, and faster. And rather than bring in a bunch of consultants to do that work for us, we taught everybody to fish. And so we've spent the last year teaching thousands and thousands of employees to do that. To date, we've deployed 3,000 AI agents into our environment to help each of those associates. So it isn't just about getting products around the world or designing them. That's a huge, important part of what we're doing with AI. But it's also about my own team deploying code in the environment, Megan's team and how they review contracts, our HR team and how they do recruiting. It's for every single associate in the company.
I love that. That goes a lot of what we're looking at, even inside our firm, but just this process of enabling people to think creatively. I don't think I've ever felt like there's been a more creative moment for knowledge workers with AI, with the ability to create your own agents and think about how to revolutionize your own day-to-day life. Maybe we can talk about that from a legal department perspective. How do you think about AI that's either being used by your team or the role that your team is serving in helping to accelerate this digital transformation within Kohler?
Yeah, I think I would wrap it in the concept that it's a very exciting time to be practicing law for a lot of different reasons. One, we have had the ability, I think, to meet the moment in the company's 153-year-old history, where we have a really core foundation of a desire for rapacious improvement every day. And that's something that has made us incredibly successful over our history, and I think is a key element of how we are thinking about the AI journey and ensuring that we're being leading edge on that journey. And as I've thought about how my teams meet the business, we've looked to make sure that we are custom designing solutions for them such that they can move with the speed and, in some ways, the audacity that they need to be winning the race. And then separately, as I've thought about how we bring in the use of AI to make my teams better, have really, I would say, taken an incredibly curious approach, especially as I've thought about the tools that are available for lawyers. There are lots of complexities still to be solved with those tools, but they are incredibly enabling. And I think, to your point, offer us greater creativity as we think about how we become the strongest partner possible to our business partners in this season. So we've looked to find the tools that we think can best tie in with our talent and how they can even become greater talents with the use of AI.
Well, I always love to kick us off with a bit of a lightning round. So I'm going to pull us into one for a moment if you'll both indulge me. The AI bet I'm most willing to be held to is
Your human resources management system will have agentic employees loaded into it within 2 years.
ooh, that is a really good bet. Megan?
The AI bet I'm most being held to is legal AI tools that will enable self service in ways that businesses have never seen.
I love that too. We'll have to have you back on to test these predictions in a year or two. I want to actually unpack a few of those. Eric, maybe I'll turn back to you a little bit. We do have conversations happening all the time these days about the role of agents. You guys have agents that are in production, and many people are thinking about the concept of a future agentic workforce. What's right and what's wrong about the construct of an agentic workforce these days?
I mean, the agentic workforce is going to be as you train your agents, right? They don't get tired. They will be more precise. I think where people get nervous about this is, what does it do to how I work today? And the way I look at this is, rather than worry about careers, be the person in whatever function or role or business you're in today that knows how to build and train and teach agents. A new agent's like an intern. It'll hallucinate and it's going to do things wrong. But the more you work with it, the more precise you get. If you become the top 20% in whatever role you are, that's a new job that most of us didn't think about back when we were in college and university, right? And that's a skill that transfers beyond your function. If you're in a function that does become 50% agentic in the future, but there's another function or area that needs to catch up, be the person who knows how to look at those processes, understand that data, and teach agents and build agents that are doing the work and helping the company be more profitable. That's a skill that'll take most of us very, very far.
It's something we think a lot about in a new AI-enabled world. How do we add value in our roles? That's like my favorite construct, because I think it really challenges you to think every day about what you do and whether the things you do are value adding for your clients, for your customers. Eric, you talked earlier about this idea of teaching people how to fish. How do you do that in practice? And what does it look like to talk to people about this AI-enabled future and help bring them along on the journey? Because I think so much of this digital transformation really is a change management effort. Is that a part that you focus on in your day-to-day role?
Massive. And a big part of what I did when I kicked off our AI strategy is I brought in dedicated organizational change management people. We have a team dedicated specifically to AI. We have partners that help with the training. We have our own internal training materials. We partner with universities on training, organizations that specialize on this. The tools you pick, I'm pretty tool agnostic, right? Kind of look at your environment, pick the tools that are going to work best for people. But you got to get past talking about it and you got to just get to doing it. I make the joke here all the time. We can read about getting fit or we can just go do a push-up, right? And that's using AI. You've got to create an environment where it's okay for people to fail, for them to learn. You've got to give them time to do it. You've got to give them the cost structure to do it and just let people start trialing things. Then with your OCM team, as they start winning, it's more important that they're talking about that stuff across the company and on stage. And we create marketing materials around that. And that creates a new level of energy and excitement. Oh, look what marketing did. Look what finance did. Look what Megan's organization did. We market that stuff internally and it helps create that wildfire of excitement. And people just keep trying and experimenting and experimenting and experimenting. And then eventually you get a bunch of agents that are actually adding to productivity.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, we talk a lot about the tipping point. How many people do you have to get excited about AI before the organization gets excited about AI? It takes a lot of effort to get there, honestly, and it takes champions and it takes process and it takes investment. Who have you guys also been bringing into this conversation internally in terms of the stakeholder groups that need to be involved to create that change?
I'm going to take a step back. I think something that's really important for most organizations. This can't be the CIO, CDO's initiative, right? This isn't like an ERP transformation, everybody head in the halls and like, here we go. This has got to be a business led transformation or a business led opportunity that just happens to be empowered by technology. So the more the CIO is on stage, I think at times it even like kind of kills the excitement around it. You've got to pivot that and get the people who are using it to talk about how it's transforming the work that they're doing. So part of what we did early was we created what I call the two in the box model. A lot of projects have this. It's nothing super unique, but we went around and I was like, show me in each function in each business, who are those rogue maverick type employees that tend to get in trouble with technology? I want them to join me on a special project. We got people from all over the world representing R&D, representing legal, representing finance, representing sales, marketing, customer service. I paired them with folks in the IT organization where we're advancing in AI, those folks that were already working in the back to do things. We put two of them in a box. You take the person on Megan's team. They said, here's our ideas of how AI can make things better. Their technical partner helped them develop that stuff with the AI tools we procured. And they started to deploy agents in the environment. In that, those business or functional associates learned more and more on the way and became to a place where they could safely and in a governed way, citizen develop their own agents. That was our first round of showing people how powerful this is and that it's something that can change how you do work. It's not scary. It's very empowering and you can do it on your own. So that was the beginning. So to your question of who else did we bring on the journey? We opened our strategy with every single function, business, and region has to bring someone to the table that can be their two in a box partner.
That really speaks to me because so much of what we're doing, again, is very organic within our organization. And I think that's a great model for thinking about how to enable people who are already creative. They're the ones that are bubbling up with ideas and don't even know where to put them and what to do with them. How do you think about going from that kind of organic bottom-up development to then scale? When we think about these multi-agent workflows that are going to be complex and sit across departments, for example, how do you think about the architecture that's necessary to support that growth?
So I think it still starts with the people. So we took that two in the box committee, met twice a month, and that whole meeting was around what are your use cases? We'd make sure they were quietly, made sure they were safe. And then it was about getting the first 100 use cases as live as fast as possible. That committee, and I chaired it, existed strictly to remove hurdles. We led with yes. This is what you want to do. What money do I need to throw at it? Let's make sure it's secure in the environment and go. We've done that long enough where now each of those functional, regional, or business associates that are part of that can now franchise that operating model into the business or function they represent. So then you start to get that evangelism out further into the organization, and they're starting to just multiply those use cases. And if something gets really, really complicated, they can bring it back to that larger committee where you've got a bunch of IT technologists who know how to do the more complex stuff. So yeah, I think a lot of it starts with the people. When you get into the environment layer, we're at a point now we're starting to build 100% dedicated AI team to work on, as our Kohler leadership team will direct, some of the biggest processes and problems in the company. But if you start there, it's such a complicated thing to tackle when nobody's even done that push-up, right? So we've all done enough push-ups now. We're ready to go and do a CrossFit race now, to use a metaphor, right? Or at least try. So we have enough people who understand how AI works in their day-to-day life that we can put together formal teams to go tackle really, really hard processes. When you break a process apart, there's probably hundreds of sub-processes. It's not one AI tool that's going to help make that more profitable faster. It's going to be, how does AI intercept 5 or 6 components in any process to compress that time? And then when you get through, whether it's order to cash or new product design or whatever you do, you use multiple AI tools in the right way to bring it together. I think the last part of what you're saying is now you say you've got 20 AI agents working in one process and they're very good at their one thing. We're starting to introduce management agents that can help trigger and control those along the way. And to my big bet, I'm starting to joke, but I think we'll do it is we need to identify who manages that management agent. So if it misbehaves, it can go and be retaught. And my best idea right now is we'll partly manage that in our HRMS system. If that agent misbehaves, you can call its manager who's qualified to go ahead and work with it and help through the hallucination, the task that's been mismanaged, and to go ahead and correct the work it's doing.
Yeah, I think that's such an interesting part of the governance model for this. Like, who is ultimately accountable for agents or teams of agents, and how do you make sure that they have the right visibility and that the right orchestration layer exists under that from a technical perspective to help with the technical management of that? We're really seeing a lot of creativity and a lot of like interesting models for that bubble up within various clients. But I think, Megan, that brings us right back to the governance point. And you're one of my favorite thinkers on governance generally. Increasingly, we're really looking at looping in AI governance within the company's organizational posture towards governance and risk management. How have you thought about doing that within Kohler? And, particularly, we've just heard about this like great enablement journey. What role does legal and play within that?
Yeah, I think it's layered in many ways. So I think one, it starts with a really great partnership between your CLO and your CDO. And you've got to be having, I think, not only the real time conversations, but the forward looking conversations on where we see where we will be 1, 3, 5 years from now, so that we can help be a design partner as we think about how we want to be on the leading edge of that journey. As a general rule, I would say if I think about setting in house teams up for success right now and being thoughtful about the governance model, it's incredibly important that you deeply understand your client's risk tolerance and you meet them where they are on that risk tolerance and you share with them what the consequences are of that risk tolerance so there's no surprises. But you've got to be able to agilely move with them on taking some risks in this journey because the risk takers are going to get the rewards right now, so long as they're doing it in a smart way. And I think part of that is making sure that your governance teams, that your in house teams, that your specialist lawyers who are supporting the journey truly understand what's happening both internally and what's happening externally as you think about how quickly the market is moving in this space. And also, what is going to enable your company to drive shareholder value? So, what in this journey is going to help drive shareholder value and win in the marketplace where your company has a right to win? And you have to have lawyers, governance experts, partners who really understand what it's going to take to win in the marketplace and understand the business. Because if you don't, you're going to have institutional failures along the way.
One of the most tricky parts of this conversation, including the board level, is the competitive landscape around AI. For many companies, that's shifted dramatically in the past 12 months. AI went from being, to a certain extent, like a back office function to truly a competitive terrain. And navigating that, we've seen, has required more proactive conversations with the board about what that upside looks like, not just the risk. How do you think about that from a board perspective?
Maybe you look at it from the lens of being a strategic corporate secretary. Your board members are all consuming massive amounts of information about AI right now. What's happening in the landscape, how it's impacting the specific industry, what could be a strategic enabler. They are consuming so much information about that topic. You cannot get in the boardroom having them know more about it than you do. So, step one is making sure that you're a very sophisticated and invested consumer around what's happening and how it impacts your business and your industry. Two, I think you have to have a regular drumbeat of how you're talking about it in the boardroom. So that means getting it on the agenda, it means getting the right team in front of the board, and it means driving those conversations in partnership with your board chair about not only how the company is thinking about it right now, but if I think about the incredibly important role that the board plays in long-term strategy, how you should be thinking about it 5 years from now, using your best predictive models that you can with your experts. And then finally, I think to the extent that you have opportunity to bring your board forward or be a bit of a disruptor for them, enabling those opportunities to tell them about the wins, tell them about the creativity, tell them about the innovation, so that then they can apply their collective expertise to continue to think about how to magnify and exponentially apply that disruption in really impactful ways for the business.
Meg, you guys are a consumer brand. The customer is at the center of everything that you do in Kohler, and I can attest to that, having spent some time with you in Kohler, Wisconsin, which was just an amazing experience. How do you think about AI as a core part of delivering on that customer mission? Where does it add value for your customers, and how do you think about the importance of digital trust in the context of that conversation?
I think a core part of our brand and our legacy has been incredible customer service. Whenever I talk to anyone about their experience with a Kohler product, they really highlight the incredible service that they got, both short term and long term, as they think about the long term longevity of the product and the service we provide to our customers. In the digital world, I think particularly as we've applied AI, for me it is continuing to think about our customer segmentation and how we drive not only the brand globally, how can it become a global brand enabler? Also, how does it enable us to create a truly bespoke brand experience and customer experience for each and every consumer that we touch? And it is customized for them and unique and special for them in a way that we're really designing a wow for them every time, whether it be someone buying a beautiful Shea McGee sink or someone experiencing our incredible hotels in Kohler, Wisconsin. And then on our side, I would love to continue the journey that we are on to leverage AI to make that bespoke creation even more intuitive in an iterative way as we continue to find really unique and special ways to create customer and consumer experiences that they cannot get anywhere else.
That's one of the things that AI gets right that I think we can all learn from, which is how to actually have an experience that feels special and customized and unique to you. I think that's what a lot of people are looking to when they think about the future of personal agents, for example. But it's something we think a lot about in terms of our client service delivery model. What does the intuitive experience look like from your perspective when you think ahead to Kohler in a year or even 3 years from now? And what should customers potentially be excited about when they think about that?
Yeah, I think they should be excited about the legacy of a 153-year-old company that has deeply cared about the customer for the entirety of that legacy and the entirety of that journey. And bringing that care and deeply consumer centric approach to the table and having it be technology enabled in a way that each customer can get a unique experience for them while also harnessing the power of our collective consumer experience as we continue to think about being on the leading edge of design. And we all think of our homes as very unique and special places where we want to find comfort and an authentic experience for us. And leveraging AI and technology to continue to think about how we can make homes even more bespoke for our customers and even more authentic as we think about the optionality that we offer.
You can see a whole world of possibility opening up there. That's one of the things I think that gets people so excited about not only generative design, but agentic commerce, this ability to kind of move through the digital world in a way that is actually a lot more sensible and exciting and directed than we can today. I think that's what we're looking at in terms of the promise of AI. And it'll just be so interesting to see how Kohler and other companies deliver on that. And Eric, I want to turn it back to you just again from this experience perspective, whether it's internal experience or external experience. What is something that you're excited about with AI that you think it'll let Kohler do in the future that is genuinely not possible today?
I know I talked a lot about the internal use of AI, but ultimately, it's a training program to get our associates focused on using AI to delight the customer. And to me, that's broader than just Anna bought, a new faucet for her kitchen. That's incredibly important. And we want to make that the most gracious experience possible and have AI remove any friction in that process for you. But that goes across anybody who interacts with our products, right? And in a very near future, because these are things we have in pilot or in production, we will be talking about AI is delighting the customer in our stores, where today an associate has a tablet And you go in and it takes X amount of time to interact with an associate who's on a CRM platform on the tablet. We're now deploying AI to those store associates. So very quickly, he's like, Anna's here. What did she buy last time? She likes this. Is it an inventory? And very quickly interact with your history. And so there's a personalization journey there when you come to a store. If you call customer service, we have agents in pilot there very quickly working through the conversation to determine if your complaint's under warranty. And then we can tackle it really quick. If you're a builder, we have AI agents working on improving the accuracy of promise dates so that you can set up the job very quickly, right? Even if you're a vendor, we hope that you're also our customer. And we want you to have a very gracious experience when it comes to, are you getting paid on time? And we have agents that are working through SAP to clear blocked invoices. So this is constant idea of now that associates understand how AI works, transforming that thought process is how do I use this to delight the customer in every aspect of what we do? So when I think about what are we going to do with AI in the future that we're not doing today? Yep, it'll be part of the design process. It'll also be part of just delighting every single customer. We'll be talking about AI more externally than internally.
I think that's exactly right. And I want to acknowledge, frankly, how great it is to have you guys both again talking to each other. We have so many people in our lives, or at least I do, who are now putting on an AI strategy hat or an AI governance hat that they never had to wear before. It's increasingly important to companies globally. Maybe just to close us out, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to folks starting out on that journey, or one mistake you would tell them to avoid as they get going?
I would say for the other IT digital leaders out there, find the co-sponsorship that is outside the technology department and create that excitement around it through how it's empowering the business and make it not about a technological deployment.
Mine will be to get the right cross-functional team in the room and take an expansive view of that and move with speed and urgency. Hold hands and be willing to jump and take some smart risks for your organization at all times with your mission and your customer in mind, and move with speed.
I think hold hands and be willing to jump is what I'm going to put on the post-it at the bottom of my computer. It's just such good advice for everyone these days. It's a world you can't really be in without jumping in. The river's moving quickly, like find your boat, jump in it, paddle downstream, and just have some fun with it too. So thank you guys. This has been an amazing conversation. There's a lot that I'm leaving with in terms of what we do to delight our clients. And it's really inspiring to have this conversation with you both. So thank you for being on the AI Drop.
Thank you for having us, Anna.
That's today's drop. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to hear more of the AI Drop, hit subscribe and join us each week for fresh insights on what's shaping the future of AI. This podcast is for informational purposes only, and it does not constitute legal advice or establish an attorney-client relationship. It may be considered attorney advertising, so prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome. The views expressed here are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of their firms, organizations, or clients. For more information, please visit freshfields.com.